The sea is endless, its surface trembling under the first breath of dawn. Waves roll like the backs of unseen beasts, and in this world of 8.7 million years ago, the ocean is not a sanctuary, but a realm of terror. Beneath its surface coil titans, colossal serpents, older than memory rulers of the abyss. What would it mean for fragile early humans barely learning to shape stone and gather fire to face waters owned by creatures so vast they could shatter rafts like twigs? Could survival itself withstand the pull of such monsters? Or would they be swallowed into myth, remembered only in fear? The story begins in motion. A band of Australopithecus moves across the coastal plain, their bodies lean darkened by sun, their faces set with hunger. The dry season has stripped the land bare. Roots are scarce, fruit withered, and the insects and small game they once relied upon scatter too quickly. Their eyes, wide with desperation, drift again and again to the ocean. It promises food, fish flashing silver in the shallows, shellfish clinging to rocks, but the price is terror. Still, hunger is stronger than fear, and survival demands risk. At the water's edge, they gather in silence. Females cradle infants against their ribs while older children cling to their mother's legs, watching the surf with trembling curiosity. The hunters crouch low, working with stone flakes and sinew-lashing reeds into crude rafts. Each strike of flint echoes with urgency, each knot of fiber binding their hopes against the weight of the sea. One male smears mud across his face, not for war, but as instinctive armor. Another sprinkles crushed herbs into the tide, a primitive ritual, a plea for mercy from the unseen. The tribe pushes the rafts forward. Waves slap against their legs, dragging at their balance. The first raft shudders but holds. Another follows. Slowly trembling, they clamber onto the floating bundles of reeds and push out with poles of driftwood. Mothers watch from the rocks, their cries silent, but their eyes pleading as the hunters drift farther into the surf. The ocean rises beneath them, heaving, vast, endless. For a moment, there is calm. Fish dart below, glinting silver in the filtered light. The hunters lower woven baskets, scooping clumsily, catching only a few writhing prizes. Their faces flicker with cautious hope. Hunger gnaws, but food is within reach. They paddle farther, rafts creaking. The water deepens. The air thickens with the scent of salt, and something older, heavier. The horizon seems to bend. Then the first shadow moves. It glides beneath the rafts, immense, a living darkness that swallows the light. The hunters freeze their bodies rigid, their breath caught. A hiss, deep and unnatural, rises from below. The water erupts. A colossal serpent explodes from the depths, its body thick as trees, scales glistening like obsidian jaws yawning wide to reveal teeth curved like daggers. A raft splinters, instantly reeds scattering as two hunters vanish into foam. The others thrash, paddling desperately, screams tearing from their throats, though no words exist. The serpent coils tail, slapping the water with a thunderous crack, sending waves that hurl rafts toward the rocks. The ocean, once a promise of life, has become a battlefield. The sea boils with violence. The serpent coils and uncoils its massive body, rippling like a living storm. Hunters cling to fragments of their rafts, their eyes wide with primal terror. One male, clutching a sharpened spear, thrashes toward the surface after being thrown beneath the waves. His chest burns, lungs screaming, but the instinct to breathe is weaker than the instinct to live. He bursts into air, Just as the serpent's head lunges again, jaws snapping where he had been only a heartbeat before. On shore, the rest of the tribe cries out with silent gestures, hands waving, bodies lurching toward the surf, torn between rushing to help and clutching their young against the rocks. Mothers clutch Enfi tighter, their cries mixing with the roar of the sea. A storm begins to stir above dark clouds gathering as if drawn by the serpent's fury. The smell of rain sharpens in the air. One raft remains upright, carrying 3 hunters. They strike at the beast with their crude spears, stone tips glancing uselessly off the serpent's armored hide. One manages to drive his weapon into a softer fold beneath the jaw. The monster thrashes, enraged, its hiss rolling like thunder across the water. Waves crash against the shore, sending spray high into the air. The raft lurches, but holds. The hunter who struck looks up with fire in his eyes, the first flicker of defiance against something so impossibly vast. Then the serpent dives. For a moment, the sea is empty, only the churn of foam and the crash of waves. Silence presses heavy on the survivors. They paddle wildly toward shore, arms shaking, eyes darting across the restless surface. But the reprieve is a lie. The water bulges again, and the beast erupts from beneath, rising higher this time, body twisting into the sky like a tower of muscle and scales. Lightning splits the clouds above, illuminating its form in a flash of raw fury. The storm has arrived. Rain lashes down, blinding, drumming against skin and stone. Thunder echoes across the plain. The serpent lunges toward the rocks where mothers shelter with their children. The tribe screams without words, hurling stones, waving burning brands saved from the fire. Sparks hiss as they meet the rain. The monster crashes down, missing its mark. Jaws slamming against stone teeth, shattering shards of rock into the air. Infants wail their cries, piercing the storm. In this chaos, desperation becomes strength. The hunters left in the water rally. With guttural cries, they thrust spears again, aiming not at the serpent's hide, but at its softer wounds. Gills, eyes, mouth. One spear finds its mark, sinking deep into the edge of an eye. The serpent rears back, a screeching hiss, tearing through the storm like a curse. Its coils writhe, smashing rafts to splinters, but in its rage, it thrashes too close to the rocks. A massive wave, driven by wind and fury, slams the serpent sideways, its body colliding against jagged stone. The impact shakes the shore water, exploding upward. The tribe seizes the moment. Hunters scramble to drag survivors from the surf. Mothers clutch their children tighter, pressing them into the safety of the rock walls. Every hand reaches, every body strains. For one heartbeat, rivalry and fear vanish, replaced by one truth: only unity can withstand the ocean's wrath. The serpent writhes, then sinks back into the deep, its coils vanishing into darkness as quickly as they had appeared. Rain falls harder, washing blood and foam back into the abyss. The sea heaves, but the monster is gone for now. The storm rages on, but above the roar of thunder, the sound of breathing of life fills the shore. The storm lingers into twilight, but the serpent does not return. Waves pound the rocks, their rhythm slower now, as if the ocean itself is tired. The tribe gathers on the shore, drenched, trembling, yet alive. Survivors crawl from the surf, coughing salt and blood, embraced by hands that pull them close. Infants cry, then settle their small chests pressed against the warmth of mothers. For a moment, there is silence except for the rain and the crackle of fire struggling to stay alight. A hunter drags what remains of a shattered raft onto the beach. Another retrieves the few fish still trapped in broken baskets. It is not much, but it is life. The tribe huddles together, flesh steaming in the cool night air, and they eat. Each mouthful carries more than nourishment. It carries defiance, the memory that they faced the abyss and survived. As darkness deepens, they perform an unspoken ritual. Stones are laid in a circle fire, rekindled at its heart. The hunters raise their spears to the sky, not in triumph, but in remembrance. Their gestures are slow, deliberate, telling the story of what they endured. The rise of the serpent, the clash of waves, the unity that saved them. Children watch, wide-eyed, their minds imprinting fear and awe into memory. Above them, the stars scatter across the heavens, reflected faintly in the restless sea. The serpent still rules the deep, and tomorrow may bring another clash. Yet tonight, the tribe knows they are more than prey. They are survivors, bound by fire, by hunger, and by the myth they have created together. The legend of the ocean serpent will echo in their bones, a story older than words, carried through generations like the tide itself.